Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the NR 2021 NASCAR season. I am joined along by Jay Cook here as we're at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for race number 4 of the season, following along with the real life NASCAR schedule. This is actually our third attempt at doing this. It's been a rough ride so far, but hopefully, this is going to be the one that works out here as the cars are already about to roll. But as I mentioned, I got Jay Cook along with myself here for this race. And Jay, we've had an interesting start to the season. Very excited to see what we got here coming today at Las Vegas at this mile and a half.
Hopefully we see a lot cleaner race than we've seen so far this season, which I know with the way this track races may not be the case because this track, at least for the first 10 or so laps, everybody will be kind of three wide, two wide, making really, really close moves and some intense racing. So we'll probably see that at least to start the race today. And hopefully we don't get any big incidents like we've seen so far that make this race not so interesting. Kind of like we saw with Homestead, where the first wreck happens and then it just kind of turns into chaos and everybody starts wrecking going onto pit road and such. So hopefully we will not have that again today.
Three stages today here in Las Vegas. Stage 1 ends when we hit lap 31. Stage 2 ends when we hit lap 61. And then we go all the way to the end of lap 134 there as you see the starting lineup here as we go through the field. Alex Bowman a little bit far down the grid there. Unfortunate for him, not looking very good today now as we're though getting ready to take the green flag here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So Jay, I mean, I'm anticipating a bit of a wild race, especially on the restarts. But once these tires wear, I think we're going to calm down a bit and get spread out. What do you think?
I think the same thing. Once these tires wear, you'll see these guys get single file and try and run each other down and it'll be interesting to see how these guys get away from each other and then once they do get away from each other, who has the faster car and can get around some of the guys that maybe they got stuck behind just from being in the pack. So it'll be interesting to me. I think we'll see the real race start once we get 15 laps or so into a tire run.
Kevin Harvick leads the way out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. He won the Daytona 500. He won the Daytona Road Course and was running well in Homestead. Miami got wiped out in that big crash on lap 16. And you're going to see some wild restarts here today. And if you're going to see any crashing at all, it's likely going to be on this initial start here or some restarts later in this race, especially at the end of stage 1 and 2 now as they go down into turns 1, 3 wide there with Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, and whatnot, but they keep it clean for the moment. Kevin Harvick already loses the lead as we go down this back straightaway. Eric Almirola finds himself out front. Jay, we've been watching Almirola this whole season so far, and he's been doing, or proving, I think, everybody wrong here with some great runs in that number 10 car.
I think he's been the biggest surprise so far this season. He's a guy that everybody considers to not be that competitive, and here he is leading once again. We saw him be competitive, and two of our three races already ran this season. So certainly good for him to be out here out front, and I'm sure he enjoys this. And one thing I've noticed so far already, it might just be because Harvick has, we know, a very good car, but I noticed him, unlike last week where if you were on the outside of three wide, you were screwed. He took it three wide in turns 1 and 2 a few laps ago and just ran around everybody. So he either has a really good car or this top line can really work for these guys today, and we may see them move up to that high side and try and get some moves done.
Look what we're seeing. The 23 of Bubba Wallace up here flexing that speed in that car a little bit. I think this is the best we've seen this car run so far since the start of the season. Up in the top 6 here, Bubba Wallace is as he goes down into turn 3. Single file pretty much through the top 4, other than Larson now making a move up the inside of Ryan Blaney. But Jay, we're seeing some serious speed out of this 23. He was following right on the back of Larson, moving his way pretty quickly through the field.
First time we've been able to, like you said, first time we've really seen this team competitive this season, which I think it's kind of surprising. It took them 4 races to show this much speed, considering we think they have Joe Gibbs equipment. But at the same time, I mean, they're a new team, so you got to cut them a little bit of break and give them some time to get acclimated into actual racing conditions. And it's good to see them finally competitive as we see Harvick here potentially taking a three wide for the lead.
Harvick going for it, pushes Logano to the front of the pack here as they go down towards turns 1. Bubba now losing the spot actually to the 9 of Chase Elliott. And I think so far this season, it's really been between Trackhouse and the 2311 team. It's actually been the Trackhouse running better with Daniel Suarez. But today here, clearly, Bubba Wallace has got something with this 2311 car now. You see Kevin Harvick looking up the inside of Kevin Harvick. All of a sudden, we're kind of grouping back up, double file now, as we go down this front straightaway. Joey Logano, Jay, last week we saw him have a huge impact to that inside wall, took him out on lap 16. Another driver that's had a bit of a rough start to the season.
Yeah, he's a guy who we all consider to be a championship contender. So obviously he's probably looking to have a much better race than last week. He hopes to not get hooked like that again. And another thing that I'm noticing is so far it is the Ford show up here at the front, except for Kyle Larson. All these top six are Fords. So these guys Fords so far are showing, and I think they've also had a pretty good history here at Las Vegas of showing that they come out here and they completely dominate this race. But Larson's showing so far once again that he has a fast car and he is not one to everybody should look at, or he is one that everybody should look at and think of as a guy that they need to beat.
And Larson, we've seen him at the Daytona 500. Him and Denny Hamlin were the two fastest cars. None of them ended up winning. Larson got held up with traffic. Daytona, he had some bad luck. Homestead, Miami, he kind of got held up in traffic, took him out of another opportunity to get that first win. So it's been a rough start to the season for Kyle Larson. You mentioned rough starts, honestly. I mean, these races have been so crazy that pretty much everybody, I think, in this field today has already had trouble this season. Just 3 races completed. So it's been a wild start to the season, Jay. And honestly, I look at the tracks we have coming up here with tracks like the Bristol Dirt Race. I think this season is just going to continue to get crazy.
I agree with you. I think with the all new tracks that we have this season, we have what three new road courses, four new road courses, something like that. And then we have obviously the Bristol Dirt Race, and we have still three super speedways left this season. And then we've already seen so far that even mile and a halfs can get a little bit wild. So I think that we're in store for a pretty dang good season, and we're gonna see probably some surprise winners. I mean, obviously we saw one last week. I would say Custer's kind of surprise winner, even though he won last season. I would say we wouldn't expect him to be a winner already again this season. So I would say we'll see some surprise winners, and we might even see a surprise champion. Who knows? We've seen so far that a lot of different guys have been competitive this season that we wouldn't really expect to be competitive.
Just from what I'm seeing, honestly, I think this is going to be an extremely unpredictable season just with how these guys race. Like, we're seeing a similar group of drivers up front every week, at least at the beginning of these races with Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Eric Almirola. But with how crazy these guys get, especially on restarts, it just seems, Jay, that the guys that we think are going to be good in these races have something go wrong, and it's just going to make it so unpredictable throughout the rest of the year.
Unpredictable is probably the best way to describe it. Yeah. We've seen guys have issues and they can run up front at the start of the race and then a caution happens and cautions, especially on NR, cautions breed cautions and issues happen and these guys race really crazy. So to really, in my opinion, to be around to win these races, so this season you're gonna have to survive the chaos. You're gonna have to survive the wrecks and be lucky enough to get around everything that happens because we've seen so far that the races are not going to be clean. We'll probably have a few here and there that are clean, more clean than the others. But I think the easiest way to describe the season is going to be chaos and wrecks.
Yeah, I mean, I look immediately at the Bristol dirt track. I think I just saw a little bit of trouble actually brewing back there with Ross Chastain. Note they keep it clean. It looked a little hectic, but I think Bristol dirt track is going to be probably out of the next handful of races the craziest one of all. I really don't know what to expect. We haven't fully got a track actually ready to go for that. But as far as we're concerned, there is one that is usable. So Jay, I think that's going to be just absolute chaos at the Bristol dirt track. I don't know what they're going to be like there.
Yeah, the one dirt track that we have right now, I've tested before a couple times. It can be interesting to say the least. If there's a caution, the race gets pretty interesting with pit strategy and with how guys, because we know how short Bristol is and we know how long the pit road can be. So when pit strategy happens, there we'll often see guys get caught a lap down. So I think that race is certainly going to be interesting because obviously also they're going to be on the dirt, which is something we've never seen a lot of these Cup guys do before. You know, obviously we have some of them like Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, and some others have experience on dirt, but never in a cup car. So I don't think, even though those guys are very good dirt racers and are very experienced dirt racers, I don't think we'll see them win just because of the unpredictability of that race. And we could see anyone in this field win, in my opinion.
Speaking of Kyle Larson, potential favorite for Bristol dirt could end up being a boring race. Who knows? But Larson dropping down the order a little bit here to P7. So he's kind of fading Kevin Harvick up there with Almirola actually retaking the lead. Hamlin down to P8. Bubba Wallace has dropped a little bit as well to P9 as you see Elliott and Kurt Busch scrapping it out for that final spot, that final stage point right now. As you look at Almirola, Harvick, they continue to scrap it out. Kyle Busch, Jay, another one we look at, has had A terrible season so far. Daytona Road Course, I remember he wrecked 3 different times before he finally retired from the race. There's I saw the 47 actually getting the outside wall back there, but they kept it going. But yeah, Kyle Busch, he is in desperate need for a good race today.
I think Kyle Busch has had a season a lot like the Benedetto. They both need to have good seasons because obviously we know Kyle Busch struggled last season and it's not something we're used to seeing him do. So far this season they've both struggled really bad, and Kyle has had some bad luck so far and been involved in just about every wreck there's been. So I think today, a lot like the Benedetto and some of these other guys, he wants to see a clean race and he wants to have a clean run and at least start to build something here and get a good points finish and finally start looking towards the rest of the season.
And you see DeBenedetto there up the inside of the 23 of Bubba Wallace, rookie of Chase Briscoe, kind of up there in the mix there, just outside of the top 10 as well here. But Eric Almirola once again leads the way. We're already closing in towards the final 10 laps here of stage one. Larson makes it 3 wide up the inside of Ryan Blaney as well as Brad Keselowski. We got the 3 main Penske drivers right up here in the mix. Last week we saw the 3 main Penske guys get wiped out in that lap 16 crash, and then Austin Cindric got wiped out as well later on in the race. I think with the whole kind of with the way the AI was trying to get into the pit lane. But right now you see Harvick, Almirola, Jay. The Fords. It's been Stuart Haas winning each race so far. We've had Harvick, then we had Custer last episode. Some contact back there. Fortunately, that didn't turn anything into anything. But Stuart Haas clearly, Jay, is just dominant so far this season.
Yeah, Stuart Haas so far has looked like the team to beat. We've had Almirola running extremely good. Harvick has won virtually every race he's been in except for last week, and then Custer won last week. So Stuart Haas has won every single race so far we've had this season between the duels, the clash. Actually, not the duels. No, one of the duels, the Clash, the Daytona 500, Homestead, and Daytona Road Course. So as Kyle Busch gets in the wall, but he's able to keep it clean. Not what he wants to see at all. Hopefully he didn't get too much damage. But so far, yeah, Stuart Haas has been extremely dominant. And then you look to Penske, another one of the 4 teams we expect to be really good, and they've had nothing but struggles so far this season. All their guys wrecking in almost every single race. None of them really having that great of finishes so far. So it's been from one end of the scale to the other between the two top Ford teams.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see that go down. You saw Kyle Busch hit that outside wall. We're seeing all of a sudden, I don't know if it's the tires wearing, but I've seen a few cars kind of clip that outside wall here in the last few laps. But it really hasn't seemed to affect a driver like Kyle Busch. Definitely some speed still remaining in that number 18 now as Almirola still leads away over Kevin Harvick. And immediately I'm looking at a guy like Alex Bowman. You see him in the back a little bit there behind Austin Dillon. Jay, he's also having a rough season, but not in terms of luck. He's just been kind of losing or lacking the pace in that car.
Yeah, we
Oh, hold
have.
up.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that's going to be some big damage there for Kyle Busch and potentially Truex as well.
Second time. He's put it in the wall. Clearly an issue going on with that 18. I mean, every time he hits the wall, I'm sure it's just going to get tighter and tighter now as he comes through out of the corner. Keeps it clean there, but this could get interesting. 3 wide down the back straightaway. But all of a sudden, we're seeing some big issues with Kyle Busch. I'm not sure if the car's just too tight for him right now, but we're going to see out of turns 4 if he gets into it again. Oh, he does! Oh! Oh my goodness, he keeps it straight. Okay, clearly an issue, Jay, for Kyle Busch. You cannot get out of that outside wall out of turns 4.
Once he hit that wall the first time,
Oh!
and there's more contact now with a couple. Oh, and
Oh!
they're wrecking. Big issue here for Kyle Busch. Just what we were talking about. We don't want to see happen to him, and he gets involved in a wreck. And now Austin Cindric is also having a pretty big amount of damage too.
Oh! And it just got worse.
Oh,
It just got way worse. Oh my
Parker
goodness.
Brakes.
Up and
Parker Brakes
over.
have showed up in the Cup Series, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a good 3, 4 cars involved. Austin Cindric up and over. It's not over yet. So, okay, we're finally calming down there. The 00 involved as well. The 7, LaJoy brought it right to the pit lane. He's done for. But Kyle Busch ignited that whole thing there, and he hit the wall, the outside wall out of turns 4, I think. 3, 4 straight laps right there. And finally, it got worse for him into turns 1 and 2. And oh my goodness, Kyle Busch, we were just mentioning the rough start to his season. Well, it gets even worse today. Jay, I do think they might be able to fix that car though, but clearly they're going to be off the page probably for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I think that they're probably cursing at us right now because just as soon as we start talking about him and the troubles he had, he has even more trouble today. So, if you want anyone to blame on that one, Kyle Busch's team, you can blame us.
The commentators
We
curse.
certainly, yeah, commentators curse certainly on that one. So, I think he, like you said, I think he'll be able to get the damage fixed, but it's I don't think there's any way he keeps the pace that he had. We'll probably see him be a lot slower, and certainly Cindric, I would have to think he has to be done for the day. Getting hit like that and going up and over, I don't think there's any way that car continues.
Absolutely should be done. As you see the leader of Almirola coming to the pit lane, pit box number 3 for him. Harvick has the first pit box. Could be a bit of an advantage later in this race. But I think we're in store for a potential one lap dash here. Oh, Gregson, he's coming out of the pit lane. But
He
this
had some
happened right
damage. He
towards
was
the
already on
end.
pit road.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting here as Almirola, sure enough, beats Harvick. Oh, a bit of a slow stop right there for Harvick. He loses a spot to Ryan Blaney, so unfortunate for him. But we do have a look at what just caused that caution here between Kyle Busch and Austin Cindric, with Cindric going up and over, and then Gregson as well getting kind of involved a little bit later on. View looking at Kyle Busch right here. He was off the pace from hitting that wall, the corner before, and then the 17 clips the apron, makes it 3 wide, pushes Cindric up into Kyle Busch, and then, of course, you saw the aftermath there. Kyle just slammed into the wall. Cindric really couldn't do anything about it either, and then he's actually going to get hit just a little bit later on here. You're going to see as he gets back going. Right there, the 62 and them come together. Then Quinn Half is like, you know what? I'm going to do my normal thing, come in and finish you off, and up and over went the 33 of Austin Cindric, and that would bring out the caution here for the first time today in Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Lights off on the pace car. We're going back. Green flag. This time it's going to be a one lap dash to decide stage one here. Jay, I think it's going to be pretty interesting here. I honestly, with single file restarts, it's probably going to be a pretty calm final lap. What do you think?
I think it's going to be pretty calm, at least up front. We'll probably see some guys towards the bottom of the top 10 make some moves and get a little bit interesting here. But yeah, I agree with you. Single file restart here, it may not be as crazy as we would normally expect.
And getting ready to go green. We do got a lap car in the mix, and Noah Gregson, who was involved in that incident, as the green flag is out. And immediately, once we get down into turn one, I actually have to go in and type in the kind of yellow flag kind of command. There's a bit of a checkup behind, but now we go down into turn one. We type it in, and this will bring out the caution here at the end of this lap. And Almirola leads the way down the back straightaway. Ryan Blaney, Kevin Harvick in the mix. Kyle Larson as well. There's quite the checkup back here, so that could get a little bit interesting here now as they come through turns 3 and 4. Harvick up the inside of the 12 of Larson into the mix as well as they come through to turns 4, 3 wide to the line, but it's Almirola winning stage 1. Larson gets P3 there at the end. At the back of the field, they keep it calm as well, thankfully, now as everybody keeps it clean coming to the line there, Jay. But the top 10 is rounded out by Denny Hamlin. Bubba Wallace got held up big time by the lap traffic, I noticed here. He actually was in 10th at the start of that final lap, and he ends up P30 at the end of the lap. So very unfortunate for a driver like Bubba.
Wow, he got really held up. I didn't realize he was down to 30th. But something that I saw, and we may be able to get a replay of it because I don't know if it was just my mind playing tricks on me or if it actually happened. I think Keselowski pulled a very, very, very hard move to get himself into the top 10. It looked like as they were going green, I saw that two car dip down low and suddenly charge out of nowhere and pass a lot of cars. I think I could be high in seeing things, but I swear that's what I saw.
View from Brad Keselowski about what Jay was just mentioning there, blowing by the field. But we're going to go to a break and come back at you guys for the start of stage 2 here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And we're back here for the start of stage 2 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Jay, we saw Almirola win stage 1. I think that's his first stage win of the season. And then we had drivers like Tyler Reddick up there in the mix in the top 10. So a strong run for the RCR driver. But I think if we are going to see anything crazy and maybe some big crashes, it's going to be right here on this restart.
I think that move we saw Harvick made there coming off of 3 and 4 just shows how good of a car he has once again today. But I'm not sure if he has the car to beat Almirola. We saw him trying to get past earlier and it wasn't able to happen. So let's see what happens as we go back to green.
It's going to be interesting as well. Great launch, by the way, for Almirola. But Gregson really held up some drivers there on that last restart to end the stage. And we saw a guy like Bubba Wallace go from top 10 all the way down to 30th place. And immediately here, you're going to see him get in the way of the 17. And he's going to move right in kind of to the middle. Now he moves up to the top. So he finally gets out of the way. But you look at a guy like Daniel Suarez now going to get held up quite a bit by him. But look at Kyle Busch as well. He's going to get caught up in that as Bubba Wallace goes by on the inside. But fortunately, they should all kind of figure it out now. But very unfortunate. That's going to be a problem all day for the rest of this race, Jay.
Yeah, just as I was predicting, Gregson is way, way, way off pace. So they probably won't take him very long to catch him up towards the front here. And we'll see him do that again and probably be in the way and be an issue for the rest of this race.
And Almirola lost the lead, went all the way down to P5. Larson up the inside takes the lead. Blaney following through, and Kyle Larson comes through to lead the lap, already under attack from Ryan Blaney, who goes up his inside here down into turns one. Tyler Reddick rounds out the top 10 currently, but we're kind of seeing a bit of a trend here of this guy on the inside kind of slide up, and then that opens the door for the guy behind him, like Joey Logano, to now go up the inside as Kyle Larson, though, gets clear into the corner. So Almirola and both Harvick all of a sudden kind of falling down the order, and we're seeing a bit of a new 2 or 3 drivers take over here, Jay.
Man, I'll tell you what, that high side in 1 and 2 really, really works. I've seen a couple of guys rip that line, and they just power right around whoever's to their inside. So watch for Blaney and Almirola to do that same thing right here if they can avoid some contact.
That was close. I thought we were about to be calling our first big crash of the day, and that would have been a lot of front runners taken out. Keselowski kind of poked his nose there, 4 wide, and I really thought that was about to be a big incident, but it's not over. They're still going 3 by 3 down the front straightaway, so we still have an opportunity to see a big incident here down in turns one, a little bit calmer this time around, fortunately, now, as they kind of wash up the track right there with the 4 of Harvick. He's trying to bring himself back up into the mix. But Jay, look at Kurt Busch, a kind of a quiet, consistent driver, all of a sudden kind of sneaking his way up here into second place.
Yeah, we know this is his home track, and we know how good how much Kurt Busch wants to run good here at Vegas, and so I think we can. I don't think he'll stay up here for long, to be honest. We obviously know that Harvick and Almirola have very good cars, and so does Larson. So I think that once there's a
Oh,
green, Bowman looks like he's blowing up. The issues continue for Alex Bowman.
I was about to mention he was finally starting to have a good run. He was up to about P11, P12. Well, it gets worse. He blows an engine. His day is going to be over here, very likely in Las Vegas now, as Kurt Busch actually passed Kyle Larson. And I was noticing Noah Gragson, they're already about to run him down. So this is going to get very interesting right here as Almirola tries to look 3 wide into turn
Woo!
one. Goodness gracious. That's another thing I've noticed a few times with these guys, are they're really trying to poke their nose into the corner, and it's going to get some sketchy moments built up for us here. But Kyle Larson making a move up the inside, but here's what we want to be watching right here.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness!
no, Larson. That's not the first
Once
time.
again, held up by lap cars.
That's
His
been a
whole
trend.
season has just been lap cars getting in the way.
Look at this. Gregson planted right in the middle.
I'm
Keselowski.
I'm curious, Gary. Let's check and see the speed that he's running compared to these leaders, because that is slow. That is really slow.
Is there a way we can find that out?
Yeah, type your spacebar.
Oh, yes.
It says it there
Okay.
in the top.
167 miles per hour.
All right, let's compare it to some
Compared
of these front guys.
right now, Kurt Busch out front going 181,
Wow,
82,
so
so
he's
about a
about
15
20 or so mile an hour off the pace.
way
That's
off.
insane. That's insane.
And
And
he's
NASCAR needs to park that car.
absolutely, that's is that minimum speed? I don't know, but either way, he should be off the track because that's going to be an issue for the rest of this race, and that very well could be quite the hazard here for the rest of this race, Jay.
Yeah, that certainly is going to be quite a hazard, as we saw it happen right there. I mean, whole lot of guys got held up, and this race immediately gets a whole lot more spread out, which isn't a terrible thing, because obviously we don't want to see a lot of guys wrecking, but we also don't want to see a lap car like that holding up the field massively and creating issues for guys that are just unnecessary and unwanted.
Already closing in towards the final 16 or so laps of stage 2. Alex Bowman had a valve issue, and that's what's taken him out of this race here today in Las Vegas. You see Kevin Harvick, he's back up in the mix, trying to put the pressure on Kurt Busch. Almirola's back up in the fourth, so all of a sudden, as this run's going on, we're seeing those two Stuart Haas teammates kind of work their way back up into the mix. Kyle Larson going to go back 3 wide for the lead, but look up here. We got Quinn Helf, who's going to be the next issue for these guys. And when they're going 3 wide just about for the lead, that is not what is going to work when you're approaching a lap car. But Jay, I think these lap guys are really going to play now a big role in the rest of this race.
Yeah, he's certainly not as slow as Gregson, but he's still a lot slower compared to these leaders, and he's going to pull down almost in front of Kurt Busch. Goodness gracious, these guys have no respect for the leaders, and they're just going to continue getting in the way and being a nuisance, and frankly ruining this race if they're just going to keep getting themselves involved like this.
Look at Almirola. He was up in P4, outside of the top 10 now, and he still can't quite find a way around. Here's his opportunity, and finally he is going to get through. But it would be really nice if both the double zero and the 62 would just pull it off the track at this point here, and maybe they will at some point, but unlikely now as we look Larson, Chase Elliott up in the mix all of a sudden. He really has been another driver that's been quietly running decent here, Jay, and he ran decent at the road course. Miami, he wasn't too far off, and here he is today having another good run in the top five.
I think both Kurt Busch and Chase Elliott being up here goes back to prove my earlier point about the person who wins this race is going to be the one who gets the most lucky and gets around these guys and is in the right situation at the right time. And so I think so far Chase Elliott and Kurt Busch both being up here towards the front is just a case of the lap guys being in the way and holding up some of the faster cars in this race, because obviously we saw Amarola get massively held up, and we know he has a very fast car so far today. So I would say that we're probably going to once again see these guys affect the outcome of this race, and someone who does obviously not have the fastest car will probably win this race just because the guys who were fast got held up.
There's a 30-mile-per-hour difference between Gregson and Harvick right now as they exit turn two. Gregson was 155, Harvick was about 186, and he dives to the inside, gets by him. But now you look at Gregson, he's going to hold up Chase Elliott, who just worked his way to the front here. Thank goodness they're not going 3 by 3 because this would be an absolute disaster. Now as Gregson just doesn't know how to get out of the way here as he's going to continue to hold up that 9 of Chase Elliott. Bubba Wallace, he's going to go by on the inside, but look at the 9. He can't go anywhere. He's looking for his opportunity, and now he falls all the way down, probably to about close to 20th place, and he's still stuck behind him. Look at this. DeBenedetto, he goes by on the inside, and where is the 9 going to go? Nope. He is going to stay behind him. Oh my god. Jay, this is pretty much essentially ruining his whole second stage.
Man, Chase Elliott was just up there battling for the lead. We were just talking about him being up there because of other guys getting slowed up. And what happens right after I say that? He gets slowed up. So I really think the commentator curse so far today is really active, because we saw Kyle Busch. We were talking about him having issues, and and an issue happens for him, and then we're talking about Chase Elliott being up front because of these guys being slow, and then he gets stuck behind the slow guy and gets taken all the way to the back of the field. So that is awful luck for him, and I'm sure he wants to dump Noah Gregson into next century right now.
Down to the 23rd at the end of that last lap, Elliott was. Yeah, he is 24th now. As Keselowski looks up the inside of Kyle Larson for the lead, and we're going to have another lap car here shortly of BJ McLeod. He's a little bit faster. He's only about 10 miles per hour off the pace, so he's not going to be as much of a factor as they go 3 wide for the lead through the triangle here between Larson, Keselowski, as well as Kevin Harvick there. But Harvick might come out on top. No, he does not. I think, Jay, it's that middle lane that really is able to prevail through that turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, the middle to high lane has worked really well so far for those guys who get up there and can use it. So I don't think it works as well in 3 and 4, because we've seen guys be 3 widened on the outside and they lose a lot of time. But in 1 and 2, it seems like those outer lanes can work really well. So I'll look for somebody to use that later today in the race and maybe make that their winning move.
It's going to be interesting to see what they can do. Matt Benedetto, he's really been spending this whole stage trying to work his way back forwards. He now finds himself towards the top 20 here in P18 at the end of that last lap now, as Bubba Wallace there on the inside in the mid-teens right now, trying to work his way as well back towards the top 10 as they continue to battle it out here. 3 wide just about for the lead, Harvick, Keselowski, as well as Kyle Larson, as we're in the final 10 laps now of this second stage already. Here we go. BJ McLeod, where is he going to go? That's the question. It's not too much of a closing rate for these guys now. The 78 has a lot more pace in that car as they exit turn 2, and Larson is going to appear to just, no, he does look to the inside. So Larson goes to the inside, and he's going to make a pass, but Keselowski's going to be the one getting held up here as we come through out of turns 4. But, I mean, not as bad there with that 78 as I saw the 41 clip that outside wall on the exit of turns 4 and Jay. Last time we saw something like that happen with Kyle Busch, he just kept on hitting it out of turns 4 and eventually it turned into a big crash.
I'm curious if he hits that outside wall again coming out of turn 4 here, then it'll lead me to think that when Kyle Busch did it and then did it again, it was because the damage caused his car to be tight and he just did not have the drive off of turn 4 and hit the wall, and then obviously we saw him do it a third time. So I'm interested to see if Custer does it again right here, and if he does, that shows me these guys really need to stay out of the wall.
Did not do it there, surprisingly. So he's okay. Hamlin's now stuck behind McLeod, and so is Cole Custer now, as Hamlin's looking for that opportunity, and he's going to go through the middle. I mean, at least the 78 staying high, unlike some of these other guys. Oh, I didn't even notice. Noah Gregson's back in the mix, and he
Really, really
is.
holding him up this time.
Yep.
Really, really creating just a mess.
And these guys are going to be running him down within 10 laps or so each and every time here. So that's going to be, like I said, something that we see throughout the rest of this race here in Las Vegas now. Very unfortunate that that's the thing. He should be completely out. But hopefully something goes wrong with the engine of that car and takes him out of the race. That would be the best thing. But look at this. All of a sudden, we got a Kyle Larson and Kevin Harvick breakaway here within the final few laps of the stage. And Jay Larson really showing up today, and I would think if he doesn't get held up by this traffic, this could be his race.
I think we could have said that for every single race so far this season, in my opinion, except for maybe the Daytona Road Course. He's had an extremely strong car so far this season. He's just had awful luck, especially with getting around these lap cars. So I think that's the key thing that he has to do here today. He's got everything figured out except for the lap cars. He's got to get around those lap cars today, and if he does, highly possible we can see him finally get that win.
Coming through to the final lap here in stage 2, there they come through across the line to hit lap 60. We get the caution command ready to go. So Harvick actually takes the lead from Kyle Larson, but you see Larson kind of has a run back to his inside as they exit turns 2. We got a couple slow cars in the mix. This could get interesting now as they go down into turn 3. Larson in perfect position to steal the stage victory back from Harvick, who tried to take it from him at the last second out of turns 4. Down the front straightaway, it's going to be side by side for the stage win between Larson and Harvick. I don't know who got it. Larson got it. The timing has it as a 0.00 second gap between the two, but Larson credited with the stage victory there as we cross the line now. So Kyle
The
Larson.
move that won Larson that stage was turns 1 and 2. I don't know if you noticed it, Gary, but he got a huge run in that turn. He set that up perfectly. He let Harvick get past him, slowed up the entrance of the corner, and then he slammed on the gas in the middle of the corner and got a great exit and destroyed Harvick down the back straightaway. That was amazing to watch.
And it really seems like, I think he ran that middle lane once again, if I'm not mistaken.
He did, yeah. He was in the middle lane and got a massive run off the exit and went low and got under Harvick on the back straightaway.
Yeah, it's that middle lane. It has got a lot of speed. You see William Byron rounds out the top 10. Jay, look at 8th place. Michael McDowell up here in the top 10.
That's a guy who we don't expect to run well here on super speedways, and also Austin Dillon there in 7th place is another guy that we don't
Another
expect
strong
to
run.
run well quite often. So William Byron also off to a struggling start so far this season. He finally got himself a top 10 in the stage. So I think that a lot of that has to do though with Noah Gragson and some of these other guys really holding a lot of people up, because we saw guys like Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott, some others getting really held up and sent to the back and not having really anything they could do for the rest of the stage.
Dillon and McDowell already coming out of their pit boxes. Here goes Kyle Larson versus Harvick. Harvick's going to be close. He beats the 5 of Larson out of the pit lane. I mean, Jay, I mentioned earlier that first pit stall advantage for Harvick, and I mean, if we have some cautions maybe going towards the end of this race, that pit stop or that pit box being the first one could really play a role in helping him win this race over a driver like Kyle Larson.
Oh yeah, I think that, and on top of his pit crew just seemed like they had a really good stop that time. His first stop seemed to let him down when he lost that spot to Ryan Blaney, but this time around the crew had a much better stop, and he was able to just go straight out of the box and didn't have to turn at an angle like all these other guys do. So that certainly is going to be a big advantage for him, especially if we have a green flag stop later in the race.
So a relatively calm stage, but of course we got these slower cars coming into the pit lane now, but going into the third and final stage will take you all the way to lap 134 to end it, and it's going to be interesting, but we're going to go for a quick break and come back to the end of stage 3. I screwed that up. To the end of stage 3. Back from Las Vegas here. Here's a look at Kyle Larson's run out of turns 2. Jay mentioned it there. He played turns 1 and 2 perfectly. Got to run up the inside of Kevin Harvick going down this back straightaway. Just barely at his quarter panel, enough into turn 3 to still be there. And of course, he would go on to win stage 2 here in a photo finish as he comes through out of turns 4. You see it on that roof cam. It was so close at the line, but Larson manages to pull off the stage victory. Now to the live scene here, getting ready to go green for the start of the third and final stage. Jay, I mean, it's been somewhat of a calm race so far, other than Gregson crashing. I mean, what do you anticipate here for the final stage?
I anticipate a lot of getting in the way by these lap cars here. If we're gonna have 60 something laps here to go, and they catch at least Gregson about every 10 laps or so, that's gonna be 6 times they're gonna have to deal with him, and 6 opportunities for somebody to get really, really, really held up. So in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they hold a lot of guys up here on the restart. We've seen it happen so far. So this race can is certainly going to be interesting if the 62 does not retire.
A great move from Ryan Blaney right there. Actually went to the inside of the double zero. Now as they're gonna have to deal with this as they come through out of turn two. Gregson so far off the pace. Look at it back there. Absolute chaos. Now as they're gonna kind of get spread out though. I mean that's a good thing at least for these guys. It's a lot more calm of a restart you could say. But look at this absolute disaster. Noah Gregson needs to get off the track. And unfortunately, he's going to remain on the track now as he's finally getting out of the way as Briscoe goes by. Suarez not having a very good day. Bubba Wallace, he's been kind of getting messed over by these guys as well. Now as Kyle Larson and Harvick continue to duel it out for this race lead. But Jay, we got quite a long ways to go. We know it's going to be a one stop at this point. I mean, what do we look at? Maybe a lap 110 to 120 or so. They're going to potentially maybe look at pitting.
I think if you're one of those guys around the bottom of the top 10, say like DeBenedetto, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, you come in about like lap 90 or so because they can make it. Run lap 95 or lap excuse me, between lap 90 and 100 because we know that they can make it to the end from there. So why not try and short pit and see if new tires can give you that much of an advantage and try and win this race. But yeah, I would expect for these lead guys, they're probably going to come in around lap 110, somewhere around in there. If not, maybe lap 120 if they really, really want to stretch this last run out. And then if guys short pit, then they'll have extremely fast tires compared to those guys who maybe short pit. So we'll probably see them come in between somewhere between lap 110 and lap 120. Is right now Kurt Busch going right back to the lead, which I said earlier I didn't expect him to stay up front. Obviously, I think I was very wrong.
A lot of speed in that one car on the short runs at least. But now as we come through, approaching lap 69, nice. We are actually going to bring in the amp segment here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So let's get amped. Well, there you saw an amp. Noah Gregson come into the mix and kind of hold up a driver like Matt DiBenedetto there. Jay, I mean, I actually heard someone clip the outside wall. I know you can't hear audio, but I don't know who it was, but I did hear someone clip that outside wall as they were approaching Gregson. But once again, he continues to be in the way and mess over a guy like DiBenedetto who's in desperate need of a good run.
Yeah, I'm sure that that is not something he wanted to see at all. We know DiBenedetto's had a rough start to this season, extremely rough is the way I would describe it. So he needs to see a better finish and a better middle part of this season and obviously so far with Gregson getting in his way, it doesn't look like it's going to happen unless we get a caution again because we know how hard it is for them to catch up here. So um, well, I say that, Noah will hold up people again, so maybe DeBenedetto will get lucky and they'll get held up in front of him and he'll get to catch the pack again and get around some of these guys. But yeah, Noah just needs to park the car. That car is just way off the pace and it's causing major issues.
I remember last week in Miami, DiBenedetto kind of had a big setback, and then a late caution came out actually, and gave DiBenedetto his opportunity. And you remember what happened when he was flying past the slower cars on the inside? He actually crashed into, I think it was the 78 of BJ McLeod, and just ended his own race. So that was all on his doing there. But I mean, DiBenedetto definitely needs to get it figured out here in what's a big statement year for him in his Cup Series career now as they continue to battle it out here up towards second, third. Byron slides up the track a little bit. That could have been a bit of a moment there. These guys still going at it up front, but you look how quickly these guys are running down Noah Gragson. Like, he is so far off the pace. He's currently going 154 miles per hour compared to Kevin Harvick, 183. So still about a 30 miles per hour difference, and these guys are closing in on Gragson now. I think every 5 to 6 laps today. So we're still going to see him be in the way probably a good 10 to 15 more times.
Yeah, this is just ridiculous at this point. He's 30 miles an hour off the pace and still staying on the track and still staying in the way at that. He's not just staying on the track and then getting out of the way when the leaders get to him. He's staying in the way of the leaders and parking himself in front. So I cannot understand this, and I just look how slow he looks. He looks like he's just barely crawling compared to these guys behind. So he's going to be a massive issue for the rest of this day, and he's going to really screw someone over at some point, like he just did with Kurt Busch.
I'm just waiting for him to cause an incident. I mean, look at this. Oh my God. It's just a matter of time till he causes a crash here. And hopefully
He
when he
almost did there with
does, yeah.
Byron.
Hope,
Byron went on the apron and almost lost it, it looked like.
hopefully when he does get or cause a crash, he gets taken out in it. That would make everything better now as Blaney's gonna go by on the inside now as Hamlin got messed over. McDowell, Larson, look at Larson here, falling down just a little bit as Austin Dillon. He's going to go by on the inside as they continue to go three wide up there. But Kevin Harvick, Jay, clearly benefited from that happening. This is the largest lead we've seen from anybody today, almost 2 seconds.
Yeah, he just got the gift of a lifetime from Gregson there. Gregson held up everybody except for him behind him, and he's got a massive lead now. So now he just gotta.
Oh! Kevin Harvick, the leader, taken out, and this is going to get worse. Kyle Larson. Oh my goodness, the Benedetto made it through. Have you ever? Oh my God. Oh, we got cars upside down. Oh my goodness. BJ McLeod, Tyler Reddick involved. Larson's car is destroyed again. Continues to get worse. Bubba Wallace, Stenhouse,
Gregson's out, Pog.
Gregson is done for. Oh my God. The lap car we did not expect to change everything has changed everything at the same time as Quinn Half. Wow. The leader of Kevin Harvick, Jay. A huge change of events here in Las Vegas.
So the way I'm watching you right now is behind. You started reacting to something happening, and I had no idea what was going on. And then a couple seconds later, I see Harvick get put in the wall and absolutely destroyed. So wow, that's wow. Him and Larson both taken out in this wreck. Two of the
Of the
most
best
dominant cars
cars.
we've seen so far today out already. That's when I said lap cars would change this race. I didn't think it would be Quinn Hoff. I thought it would be Gregson, but I wasn't wrong. Wow, that's a
Um,
bummer for Harvick and Larson.
these guys are on the pit line now. William Byron was the leader when they came into the pit lane, but wow, Bubba Wallace, a bunch of cars actually just got taken out. We still have a lot of good cars, fortunately, but of course the two best cars just got completely wiped out in Las Vegas. We saw them going at it for the stage one victory, the stage two victory, and here they are, both done for as Harvick's just limping it back into his pit box. You see a lot of smoke coming out of that car. The end of the day, yep, he's done for. Harvick out. I'm sure Larson is out as well, or at least will be here momentarily. There it is right there.
He's out.
The 38 of Alfredo is also out along with Tyler Reddick. And just unfortunate all around, Jay. And we knew it was coming. We said it, and there we saw it there.
Yeah, we knew a lap car would affect them, but I don't think either one of us thought it would be Quinn Hoff either. Obviously, we knew he was off the pace as well, but we certainly thought it was going to be Gregson with how slow he was and just causing massive backups. That it would, it would be an issue with him stacking up 3 or 4 wide and those guys wrecking. We didn't think it would be Harvick trying to get past Hoff and Hoff just, I don't know, putting him in the wall, wrecking him. I'm not too sure how to explain that one, but wow, that is really something you did not want to see. Hoff taking out Kevin Harvick, and then Larson just not able. It looked like Larson had it slowed down enough, but I guess he didn't, and just running into the back of Harvick, and then obviously something happened in the back there where nobody slowed down and just plowed right into him, and it created a lot more chaos for the guys in the back.
And we were just literally mentioning how Harvick had been gifted a almost 2 second lead because of Gregson, and then one corner later he has his race ended here in Las Vegas. Now, as we have a look,
I have one way to explain that before we
what's that?
go look at replays. I have one way to explain it. The commentator's curse happened
Yeah,
again. Third time
again,
today. We've been talking about how good something is going for one guy, and boom, big issue for the guy that we were just talking about. So I think if there's anybody to blame for all this so far today, Gary, it's us. Because each time we talked about someone, they have something bad happen to them.
it happened with Kyle Busch earlier. It happens with Kevin Harvick now, as we are going to get some looks at what happened with Harvick and Larson, as well as what happened back in the field. I saw BJ McLeod upside down at one point. Here's the initial incident with Kevin Harvick right there, just running out of room out of turn 4 right there, and then boom, into the wall goes Kevin Harvick. How if he's done for? Harvick's done for. Kyle Larson, he comes piling in a little bit further back there. We'll get a better angle of that in just a second, but here you see it gets worse. Larson gets hit by Chastain. Bunch of cars go up and over. The 78 to 8, they all go up and over, and then we have more cars pile in. Stenhouse slams into Gregson. I think that was more just out of anger. Jay, he wanted Gregson out of the race. He says, I'm T-boning him and getting him out of here."
Yeah, yeah, we saw Stenhouse get really held up by him earlier. So yeah, we'll say it was that he just slammed into Gregson and made sure that he was out of the race. Because I don't think there's any way Gregson continues now.
Kyle Larson out of turns 4 right here. He comes into the picture. Everyone goes high. He doesn't. He goes into the height of the 4. Around he goes, and you're going to just see how bad a guy right here with Chastain just boom right to the back, and that sends the 78 up and over. Then the 62 of Gregson sends the 8 up and over. Bubba Wallace, unfortunately, was involved. And then, of course, you see the other few drivers piling. I mean, on the bright side, Jay, a lot of those cars that piled in there were back markers.
Yeah, a good amount of them were, but unfortunately the two best were not able to miss that crash. We obviously Harvick and Larson both out of this race, and then Tyler Reddick, another good car out of this race. And I can't recall Stenhouse. I mean, we
23.
saw him get held up, but yeah, we saw Bubba have some speed early in the race, and he has some damage. I think he'll be able to continue though, but I'm not too sure how good of a car Stenhouse has because we saw him get held up a couple times by Gregson, but I would have to assume that he is one of the better cars that's out of this race as well due to that incident.
We're going to go to break here from Las Vegas and come back for the restart, but leave you off with a view from Bubba Wallace involved in this big incident here in Las Vegas. Back from Las Vegas Motor Speedway just after a huge incident taking out the two best cars of the day. And Jay, this really opens up, I think, an opportunity for Eric Almirola, because I was looking at him, and honestly, I think he was probably about the third to fourth best car there before that incident.
Yeah, we've seen him be really fast earlier and even able to fend off Harvick, so I think this is a huge opportunity for him and also a huge opportunity for Byron, obviously, who's now all of a sudden the leader. So this is a really, really big opportunity for some of those guys like Byron, Chase Elliott, Austin Dillon, or even Michael McDowell to try and do something here.
A bunch of cars taken out. 14 cars we counted are out after that big incident, unfortunately, in Las Vegas. Quinn Helf still remains on the track, and that's the one that, of course, caused that whole incident. So very unfortunate. He's, of course, doesn't have terrible speed, but he's still quite a ways off the pace. But now it goes from Fords that we were seeing. Now, Jay, we've got the top 3 is all Chevys here. So clearly that was in their favor. And look at Michael McDowell. He is now up inside the top 5, having a great run, just staying out of trouble. And it's going to be a great points day for him if he can finish it off.
Yeah, if he can show that he still has the speed to stay with these guys, then that's going to be a really, really good day for him, as it looks like Newman might have taken over as the new Gregson, so that's fantastic that we're going to have another car that like Gregson out there on the track. But, yeah, back to McDowell, really, really good for him so far. So if he can stay there and stay in the top 5, or I mean, even in the top 10, that's a really good day for him. Wow, he's ahead of Almirola right now, which is kind of surprising to see. And never mind, not anymore. But I expected Almirola to immediately go and challenge for the lead, and we haven't seen that happen yet.
Now Byron, he's doing a solid job here, kind of leading the field. You see Almirola now trying to peek his nose up the inside, potentially 3 wide. Sure enough, into turn 3, he goes for it. Turn 3, you can really make it work a lot better than turns 1 and 2. And Logano, he kind of pulls out of it, says, I don't want any part of that right now here. Still quite a bit of racing to go. You did see everybody pit there under that last caution. But Jay, I think this is going to really put it close on feel. I'm not sure. They might be able to make it, but I'm not 100% sure.
Let's see, they ended probably around lap 82 to 80, anywhere from 82 to 84. That might be right on their window or right outside of it. If I had to guess, they're probably a little bit short, and so these guys are probably going to try and save. But it also doesn't look like they're trying to save right now. Is they're all trying to go for it, I guess, while they got the fresh tires and can try and make moves. But I think a moment ago, last lap, and it looks like it could be possible with the way Dylan's
Oh,
slowing down. I think I saw Almirola and Austin. Oh, there's a wreck between Kurt Busch
big
and Dane
hit.
Briscoe.
Up and over. 3 cars up and over. That's 4 of them taken
Massive
out.
hit for
Suarez, nowhere to go. 4 cars.
Kurt Busch, one of the better cars we've seen today. Another good car that we've seen so far today get taken out big time.
And all of a
Huge
sudden,
hit for Suarez.
yeah,
Wow.
in this final stage, things start ramping up. Guys getting crazy. Suarez nowhere to go. Kurt Busch just got straight up dumped. He might have been trying. I don't even know who turned him there, but it looks like he might have been actually running him out of room. But you see the 16 as well has Gralla, a bunch of damage. 3 cars right there went up and over. Very unfortunate for Custer, last week's winner. Daniel Suarez had nowhere to go, just an innocent victim there, and he was finally starting to get himself a little bit further up the field. So we got already a look at what just happened here in Las Vegas. View of Kurt Busch right here in the turns. When you see him come across the nose of the 17, I'm guessing here he just thought he was maybe clear. They just couldn't get away from each other. The 17 doesn't cut him any breaks, and a huge hit there from the 41, the 16. Suarez nowhere to go. All of them involved there. So, I mean, surprisingly, Jay, considering where they crashed, I think pretty lucky that only 4 cars got taken out in that.
Yeah, a lot of these guys were. We saw the field behind like the top 10 or so were spread out, so they had a lot of room to get around these guys. But unfortunately for Suarez, he did not have the room to get around these guys, and it seems like his day is either going to be over or he's going to be another Noah Gragson and be extremely slow.
So we're going to go to break once again here in Las Vegas and come back for the restart here with a view from Daniel Suarez leading us into the break. And we're back here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway for what could be the final restart of the day here. A little bit over 45 laps to go. Jay, do you think this is the final restart we see?
I truthfully don't. We'll have some other slow guys out on the tracks, so I don't think this is going to be the last time we'll see a restart. Slow guys that caused issues before, they'll probably cause issues again, and we'll have something crazy happen. Either that or these guys will just get really racy for the win and not really want to give any more room like they were earlier in the race, and we'll have something happen. So hopefully we don't have anything happen and take a lot of good competitive guys out, but it won't surprise me if it does either.
There's only 20 cars left running here. About 20 laps ago, we had about 35, 36. And things have, of course, changed quite a bit here now. As I mean, you look at this running order. Matt DiBenedetto has kept himself out of trouble, and look, here he is in the top 5, mixing it up. He might have a good opportunity right here.
He's kept himself out of trouble so far. Did the same thing last week, and then he put himself right into a situation where
Oh
he
boy.
DNF'd himself. So he needs to not do that this week, because he's almost taking a 4 wide there, which is something you don't want to see him do. Is look at Almirola powering through the middle and almost going to challenge Byron here for the lead.
We know that 10 car has probably, I think, the best car out of what's remaining. So if he can just play his cards right, some close quarters racing there with the 2 of Keselowski and the 10 of Almirola. Fortunately, that doesn't turn into anything. I think, Jay, this is the best chance Almirola is going to have right here all season, potentially, to pick up a win with these big cars being taken out.
With how fast of a car he's had today, and with his main competitors of Kevin Harvick and Kyle Larson and Kurt Busch being taken out, this is his best chance. I agree. He's got to go out here and take advantage of the speed that he has today and get himself a win and get himself locked in. As Joey Logano's going to take a 3 wide. They were almost 4 wide for a moment off of turn 4 last lap. I noticed with McDowell almost taking DiBenedetto and a couple other guys 4 wide. So that was hairy there for a moment. But these guys so far showing just kind of like I thought. They're not going to give each other room. Man, they're going to make moves, and so far they kept it clean.
That was another close call for DiBenedetto. These guys are not holding back at all right now, but Keselowski up to second. Almirola with a bit of a gap. When I say a bit of a gap, about a car length and a half or so. Hamlin 3 wide up the inside of Logano. These guys are really getting close on the exit of these corners to crashing, but fortunately it hasn't developed into anything yet as DiBenedetto falls down to P7. I think, Jay, honestly, at this point, DiBenedetto would take 7th place. I mean, just considering how his season's gone so far.
I think it would take anything inside the top 10, considering how his season has gone. So he needs to put himself in a situation where he's not going to get caught up in something. And so far, he's not showing to be doing that. He's showing that he wants to be aggressive and make moves here. And honestly, I'm not sure that's going to play out if he keeps doing things like that. Where we almost had contact with Hamlin, and there he had a little bit of contact with Blaney. If he keeps doing things like that, he's going to wind up wrecked again.
That's like the second time here in just a couple laps he's run into somebody. So he's definitely not holding back Elliott with a big move there, three wide in the middle. He's going to look up the inside of his teammate of Byron. Keselowski is now right on the back of Eric Almirola, but a great move from the 9 of Elliott, who's definitely got a lot of speed in that car. These three wides are getting a little bit dangerous here in Las Vegas now as we approach the final 35 laps or so of this race now, as Keselowski goes to the inside. Another driver, Jay, that we really haven't talked about this season is Brad Keselowski, and here he is now taking the lead.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised to see that. To be honest, we've seen him show a little bit of speed so far today, but I really think that Almirola right now is the car to beat, and I'm kind of shocked that anyone's able to get past him. So I think he'll probably get around Brad here pretty quickly, and if we do see Almirola get past today, I don't think it's going to take him long to get it back around whoever passes him.
A lot of speed in that 10 car. Like I said, yeah, I don't see anybody being able to beat Almirola, but I've been looking up ahead, and this is the obstacle right here. This could be a factor, and Quinn House still on the track, so there's two obstacles on the track. Ryan Newman, he's going a little bit faster. When I say a little bit faster, he's only going about 5 miles per hour faster than Gregson here as they come through the tribal. De Benedetto, Byron, Keselowski, Almirola, they all get by. Logano's going to get held up, and a handful of others. But I mean, the main group of leaders do get past right there as De Benedetto looks to the inside. Almirola lost the lead out of that situation right there. Very unfortunate for him as De Benedetto finds himself in the mix here going for P3. But now Elliott forces it three wide. Right here's where we really gotta watch to see what happens at the turns, for these guys have had a history of getting really close together there. The 9 and the 21, they keep it clean. But now once again we have another obstacle here. Quinn Half, who caused the crash earlier. This is the first time the leaders have even caught him since that incident. Now is there going to be 3 by 3 for the lead with Keselowski on the outside. Who's going to get by the 00 first? Keselowski on the outside, and he is going to go through to take the lead here as Elliott gets through as well. But Quinn Half being right in the way, and Jay, look at Matt DiBenedetto getting held up, and now all of a sudden we got Kyle Busch, who had trouble earlier, now up inside the top 10. I did not expect this.
I was going to try and ignore Kyle Busch being there, but I guess you're going to talk about him. We've seen the commentators curse be active today, and we've already affected him once, so I was going to kind of ignore him being there and hope he didn't have any issues. But you mentioned Almirola a few laps ago when they were going through Quinn Hoff initially, or no, not Quinn Hoff, when they were going through Newman. You were saying that he lost the lead because of that. Well, I think him losing the lead was a smarter play because he chose to go around the outside since he had no chance of getting to the inside and got himself around Newman and didn't get held up. I think that was, in my opinion, a very, very smart move by him. And look at Almirola. He's already back challenging for the lead.
Yeah, not wasting any time. But Kyle Busch having a great comeback here now as he looks up the inside of the 34 of Michael McDowell. So McDowell still having a tremendous run there in that front row car. Hamlin up in the mix. We haven't really talked about him a lot. He's been consistently around the top 10, a little bit outside of it, but he's been up there a few times. And here he is now in P4. Hamlin surprisingly win this season so far, but of course we're only 3 full races in as Keselowski holds off Elliott. But yeah, I saw right there, Jay, Almirola, he's having a bit of a tough time passing that 9.
Yeah, maybe Chase Elliott once he gets out front, gets him in some clean air. He found a little bit of speed that he didn't know he had in that car. So oh, he's actually not out in front. He's in second. I'm reading things right here, but I'm gonna be shocked still. I think if Almirola doesn't get around him and get back around that too. I really think that Almirola is the one to beat here right now, as he's trying to make a move inside of Chase Elliott, but I don't. That's not the move in turn one, in my opinion. I think they need to save that outside line for themselves in turn 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 dip down to the inside line. So I think we're going to see Almirola try and make a move here to get past these guys and clearly show that he still has the top speed. As Truex is suddenly up here now, and we haven't seen Truex all day long up in the top 10 at all. Now he's
I
suddenly in
think
fourth.
these Joe Gibbs racing cars in general this season have had kind of rough seasons. We haven't really talked about them a whole lot, and here they are now, avoiding the chaos, getting up in the mix once again. Almirola can't pull off that inside line. All of a sudden, now he's under attack from Martin Truex Jr. down the back straightaway. So maybe a bit of a fall off here in this 10 car all of a sudden, as he's going to be under attack in a turn. So he actually stays clear though, so he's going to be okay for a moment, as that opens the door for the 9 and the 2 to kind of open up a little bit of a gap here now, as they're kind of starting to get a little bit single filed out here, other than William Byron, Matt DiBenedetto being up in the mix. Is DiBenedetto, he has not been holding back, and here he is trying to force it 3 wide, and once again it doesn't work. And at Jay, it seems like almost as these tires wear, that inside line is becoming worse and worse here in turns 1 and 2.
That inside line just does not have the speed compared to the middle line and the outside line. You can get such a good run with those lines in 1 and 2 that it's a major disadvantage in my opinion to run those inside lines. You really got to put your car towards one of those outer lanes and just hang it out and get a good run, and then go down in 3 and 4 and then put yourself on the inside line where that line is really dominant. So I think we're going to keep seeing that happen as we see Kyle Busch there. He stayed in that line, and look at him. He's able to pull right away from Blaney again. So it's a much better line in 3 and 4, or in 1 and 2 than 3 and 4.
Eric Jones having a solid run here today. Another driver that's avoided the chaos. A lot of these drivers are up here because they've avoided chaos, but of course we've had drivers like Keselowski and Almirola running up front all day long. DiBenedetto, he's been up there a little bit here and there. Now it's Truex. He's still trying to make a pass, but here we go. What's going to get interesting is Ryan Newman out of turns 2 is going to play a bit of a role here in what happens down this back straightaway for the lead. And Keselowski is going to stay behind into turns 1. He looks to the inside. Almirola has an opportunity. And now look, Elliott in the worst position possible, along with Denny Hamlin. So all of a sudden, he's going to drift back. He looks to the inside there. 3 wide in the middle. He does not want to wait around. Less than 30 laps to go here in Las Vegas as they go down into turns 1. Kyle Busch is going to go by as well. And then we have more trouble up ahead, or I mean, another obstacle, I should say, of Quinn Half, who's going to be in the mix here. I mean, Jay, I think it's all going to be about down to who catches the lap cars at the right time once again, or at the wrong time to decide this race.
Yeah, I agree. It's really going to be around getting around these couple of guys. It's going to be about getting around these couple of guys at Quinhoff and Ryan Newman. Wow, Keselowski and Almirola did a really good job of getting around there, and Truex did as well. But Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, Logano, all these guys finding the ability to get around him hard. So I would say that it's definitely going to be all about getting around those lap guys, and Almirola here making a move right back towards the lead.
Yeah, there he is going for that front spot now as they come down the front straightaway. Ty Dillon's going to be the next lap car on the way. He's not too far off the pace as they go down into turns 1. So Almirola looking for that lead, but once again, I think if the leader can just kind of hold that right lane there, that outside lane over, say, Eric Almirola, I don't think Almirola is going to be able to make a move to the lead. It's almost like the clean air and then just the inside line being a disadvantage, Jay, is really coming into effect as the tires wear.
Yeah, 3 and 4 is really the only place you want to be in the inside line. Like I've said before, that outside line is it's such a big advantage in 1 and 2. As Almirola might be able to have that line here and power around Keselowski. Never mind, I was wrong. And he's going to make the inside line work, it looks like, which that's surprising. I didn't see that coming at all. Just as we were talking about it, he makes it work.
He clears a 2 into turn 3. That was surprising. And now it's going to be 3 wide. Keselowski dropping big time there out of turns 4, and he hits the outside wall as well, actually. Matt DiBenedetto was right on his left rear quarter panel, so all of a sudden Keselowski goes from leading to damaging his car here in just a handful of seconds. Now we're going to have to keep an eye on what happens here. Elliott and DiBenedetto a little bit close, but it's going to be interesting to see if Keselowski kind of has that rhythm of Kyle Busch earlier, where he starts hitting the outside wall. Clearly he's not wasting any time, though, trying to get right to the inside of that 24 of William Byron as they come through out of turns 4. Clearly, Jay doesn't look like the damage affects that car too much because he's already going back to second.
Yeah, certainly hope it doesn't affect him that much because he's shown that he has the speed of Almirola. So I mean, obviously I think I don't think it hurt him that much. At least so far, it doesn't look like it did. But it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, Byron does get that run, so he get that run on the outside line, and they're going to be 3 wide potentially. Nope, Truex backs out of it. So. And here comes Keselowski again. So obviously, I don't think the damage is affecting him that much. I think he's still got the speed, and he's still going to want to go and challenge Almirola here. But if these guys keep staying 2 wide, I think Almirola is going to be able to run away with this and get himself a pretty good gap built.
Yeah, now less than 20 laps to go, and Almirola, sorry, is loving everything he sees as DiBenedetto falls back a little bit further there in that middle. And that outside is really prevailing as Byron gets clear. Truex even gets a run to the outside of the number. We got a caution.
There is some smoke and dirt thrown up there on the front straightaway. Something obviously happened. I'm not too sure who was involved,
I
but
yeah, no idea, but they do race it back to the line. Caution's out, and this is going to force a late race restart upon us. As Almirola, William Byron are the top two. As yeah, I cut to the picture, we saw some smoke. Not sure exactly what caused that
potentially
incident.
McDowell
That's
was
what
up
I'm
towards the
thinking.
front.
And now he's down in P16 towards
See if he
these
has damage to
cars.
that right side. No, the car's not damaged. Maybe he just got really held up. Oh,
Oh,
it might. Oh, Kyle Busch. Oh no.
no way. Yeah, he's got a bunch of damage on the left side that was not there before. Oh
Kyle Busch
no.
once again. The struggles continue.
I mentioned about 10 laps ago the great comeback he had made. He's working his way back through the field, and he is listed as 6th place currently. And here he is coming up to the back of the 21. He's going to go around there. I think something happened with Kyle Busch after the caution.
Either that. Did, did Keselowski just have? No, he didn't. Either
Keselowski's
that, or he was somehow part of the wreck and we didn't see it. Maybe we just didn't have the camera angle on, and I'm not too sure. No, I think you're right. He might have gotten damage after the caution. I
It
honestly
looks
don't know,
like
but I
it.
don't see anyone running around there that has damage either.
Neither do
So
I. Well,
I'm not too sure what happened.
we're going to go to a quick break and come back and find out what happened to cause this incident here in Las Vegas, as well as what happened with Kyle Busch. Back from Las Vegas, Ty Dillon out of turns 4, just trying to stay out of the way, gets turned there by the 20 of Christopher Bell, who was side by side with Chris Buescher. Just an awkward moment to kind of catch him into the outside while he goes, and that brings out the caution here in Las Vegas. But after the caution came out down the back straightaway, things got a little bit spicy between Joe Gibbs' teammates, Kyle Busch, as well as Denny Hamlin. Now on the cooldown lap with the pace car coming out of turn 2, you're going to notice it's 3 wide with Kyle Busch and Hamlin. They actually come together right here. Kyle turns Hamlin into the outside wall. Then the 21 at DiBenedetto clips the 18 in the quarter panel, turns him around, and Kyle gets some damage out of that. Not too much. I think he's going to continue. But Jay, I think he's probably going to have to come to the pit lane here and sacrifice a bunch of positions.
He's definitely got to come to the pit lane. But I'm not too sure if he's going to be sacrificing a bunch of positions because he was already towards the back. But yeah. Oh wait, never mind. I am stupid. Yeah, he was 6th. That's right. But yeah, he's definitely gonna have to come down pit road and get a lot of that left side damage fixed, which is unfortunate for him that he's gonna lose all those spots that he had gained and was running good. But I think he'll be lucky to be able to get back out there and be competitive. But I'm unsure if he will be.
So back to the live scene here in Las Vegas, and immediately, Jay, I think if they can fix that car and have it still meeting a good speed, they could have an advantage here with 4 fresh tires on the car.
It's potential. It's potential that he could have that advantage, but that's a whole lot of damage to that right side, and I think he's even got a pretty good amount to the right side as well. So I don't know if they can get that car fixed to be competitive again. But if they can, highly possible he at least gets a good top 20, maybe top 15.
Well, top 20 guaranteed because there's only 20 cars left.
Okay, I didn't realize we were down to that
He
few.
stays out. Kyle Busch stays out on the track. Interesting call there, but
That's a questionable move, to say the least.
and we look further down the field, the drivers involved in that initial incident, they all stay out as well, but they really didn't pick up much damage at all. But we're going to, once again, go to a quick break here from Las Vegas and come back at you guys for what likely could be the final restart of the day here from Las Vegas. Back from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, getting ready to go green here with 15 coming to 14 laps to go at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Jay, I asked you last time if we're going to have another caution. I said no. We ended up having one. Do you think this is the last restart of the day?
I'd say, yeah, this will probably be the last restart of the day. I think we've gotten down to so few cars left that I don't think we're going to have enough to cause something crazy happen. As Kyle Busch, we were saying we don't know if he has enough speed. It looks like he's already making a move on Chase Elliott, so we we may have been the wrong one saying that he needed the pit.
He might have more speed in that car the way he's making that move there. Now is Elliott's going to drop down in behind the 00. That's not good for Elliott, as he's going to at least look to the inside and get around him. But at the front of the field, it is Eric Almirola leading the way through turns 3 and out of turns 4. We know how much speed is in that 10 car. And personally, I don't think the 24 is really going to be able to challenge him. But at the end of the day, Jay, Byron having a great run no matter what today.
Byron has been really consistent ever since the issues started happening for these guys, and he found himself up front. He hasn't really left the top five or so in the last, I don't know, 60 or so laps, basically this whole stage three. So, been a really good day for him. He hasn't shown to have winning speed so far, but he's certainly consistent, at least running top five. And one thing I'm really surprised about too is Truex still hanging around. He came out of nowhere, and he's suddenly up there with those top guys.
And Kyle Busch, he's slowly but surely kind of getting into the mix here. A bit of a surprise now is Keselowski is trying to make a move on the inside. That inside at this point, it's proven that it's not going to work. Closing in on the final 11 laps, and if Almirola wins today, that makes it Stewart Haas Racing wins the first four races, and that's already three of their drivers that have won this season. What a good start to the season it's been. Of course, we got the other one, Chase Briscoe, the rookie. He's had a bit of a rough start, Jay, to this season. Here he is running just outside of the top 10 right now. He's just really salvaging a half decent race. He's been out of trouble. He just hasn't had that speed today.
Which, yeah, he's a rookie, so obviously, you don't expect the biggest things out of him. But I think so far that when he's not been involved in issues, we've seen him run pretty decent. So as the season goes on and he gets more used to the team and he gets more acclimated to the car and everything, I think we might see him maybe even pull out a win and make it all four guys locked into the playoffs. So he's a guy who is really intriguing, and so I'll be really interested to see how the rest of the season goes on and into next season and seasons beyond.
Hamlin got held up quite a bit there by Ty Dillon. But you see Truex, second place, 10 laps to go here at Las Vegas. And Almirola, I mean, they're within 2 car lengths or so of him, but they really aren't putting on a whole lot of pressure to that 10. But now that Truex is in second, we definitely could see maybe something happen here with Martin trying to make a move. Now is Byron's actually going to come back at him, but you look back here, 3 wide with Kyle Busch, who's now, I think, Jay, that damage is really starting to play into an effect now as he's falling right behind the 34 of McDowell and might miss out on another top 10 finish here.
I think that a lot of that had to do with just restart problems, and he was able to maybe have a better restart than some of these guys. And then once they got going, they kind of powered around him. But man, Blaney, he sent it in on the inside there and just lost the car and had to catch it, had to catch himself and got passed by Kyle Busch and McDowell. So far, kind of a rough day for Blaney, it seems like.
Kyle now drops out down to P10, so you could still salvage at least the top 10 of this. And I want to mention fastest lap of the day currently, Martin Truex Jr. And he is closing on the back of the 10 of Eric Almirola. This is not over yet. Less than 10 laps to go. Truex hasn't really been in the mix. I haven't even considered him to be a race winner today. And here he is in the final 10 laps, putting some pressure on the back of Eric Almirola. Cole Custer set the second fastest lap. What's that, Jay?
You know what's kind of shocking is you look at that list there, and Amarola's not even in the top 10.
Where is
Almirola's
he?
not even in the top 10 for fastest laps.
13th. And we got
That's surprising to see. And we were talking about Custer, or not Custer. We were talking about Briscoe as well. Look at him there with the fourth fastest lap. So he's obviously had a pretty decent day as well, speed wise, but just not getting the result that his car seems to have.
And we got De Benedetto down there with the 14th fastest lap, and he could find himself here in trouble in just a couple seconds if this goes wrong right here at the turns too. But fortunately, it does not. But Martin Truex Jr. making a move for the lead into turns 3. Eric Almirola, it would be heartbreaking for him at this point, Jay, to lose this race.
I didn't see this coming at all. Truex came out of nowhere and is now all of a sudden passing the guy that you and I both said is the car to beat at this point. It was Almirola's race to lose, and it seems like right now, maybe not in turn 1 and 2 because we know how bad that inside line is, but it seems like Truex, if he's able to keep to the inside in 3 and 4 here, he may take this lead and magically win this race.
There's going to be one obstacle before this race
Two
ends,
obstacles.
I think. 2 obstacles that are battling it out at about 164, 165 miles per hour. Truex had a bit of a slip up or something. He's going to actually give up the position to Byron, and maybe even drop down behind Elliott. So that is exactly, he's going to lose it.
Curse.
And the 2 and the 34, they're close together. And Truex now drops down, so Byron into second. But Almirola should have no problem getting around these guys as we approach the final 3 laps. But if they're side by side, Jay, who knows what's going to happen right here?
If they stay side by side, he's going to have an issue getting around him, and all of these guys are going to have an issue getting around these two. They need to get this figured out and get out of the way soon. Because if they don't, they're really going to affect the end of this race. And I don't know who's going to win if they stay in the way.
Truex somehow gets back to second, so it's not over. Byron to his outside, but they will get to these guys probably by the end of this next lap. It's going to be right at the final lap when these guys are going to be dealing with these guys. So Truex battling it out
It's
side
going to
by
be
side
right
with
now. It
Byron.
looks like actually.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be probably in turns 1 and 2. 2 laps to go for Eric Almirola. Here we go into turns 1. It's a roadblock. He's going to get held up a little bit. If that inside line opens up, this is his race to win. And sure enough, it opens up, and Truex is going to get held up. The 9 of Chase Elliott. That is exactly, Jay, what Almirola needs. And Quinn Helm shuts the door just about on the 9. And now, as we come through out of turns 4 to start, coming to the final lap, McDowell to the inside, trying to take over second place. Truex held up big time as the white flag is in the air. Blaney, Logano, they're able to get through that traffic. Matt Benedetto kind of got held up, and so did Byron, as well as Martin Truex Jr. But out of turns 2, there is no contest whatsoever as we go down this back straightaway for the final time here in Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Kevin Harvick won the Daytona 500. The Daytona Road Course, his Stuart Haas racing teammate of Custer, won last week, and today Eric Almirola out of turns 4 makes it a 4-race winning streak for Stuart Haas to start the season with the win in Las Vegas as McDowell comes through to finish second over Chase Elliott as the rest of the field comes by there. But wow, Eric Almirola, Jay. I mean, we knew he had the car. I think if the lap traffic didn't play a factor, Truex might have had an opportunity right there to beat him.
Look at that top two: Eric Almirola and then Michael McDowell. I don't think that anybody would have said that that was going to happen at the start of this race or any time in this season. That wow! I mean, Almirola absolutely the dominant car today, which nobody expected to see, and then McDowell comes out of nowhere and powers around Chase Elliott on the last lap and finishes second. So I mean, that's just wow. Ford Performance today, obviously having a great race, as they had a lot of cars in the top 10. But you mentioned there with Truex, that is just absolutely, really, ultimately unfortunate for him. Right there, I think he probably had a bit of a faster car than Almirola right there at the end, and just gets caught up behind lap cars, and also had some kind of mistake that he did in 3 and 4, and ultimately cost him the win in this race.
Yeah, I mean, in real life, the only type of track the top 2 have ever won at is a plate track like Daytona as well as Talladega. So Almirola pulls off the victory and continues Stuart Haas to be the only team so far after 4 races to win anything this season now, as we're going to check out the finishing order after Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So Eric Almirola, of course, with the victory spanning down through Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, there to round out the top 5. I mean, Jay, compared to last week at Homestead, Miami, where we saw all the Penske cars crash and the main 3 get wiped out on lap 16, well, they all finished 4th, 5th, and 6th there with the main 3 today. So a great comeback, or a great recovery compared to last week.
Yeah, De Benedetto also there in seventh, which we were discussing several times in this race that he needed to have a good finish, and I think he'll take seventh place for what he's had happen to him so far this season. I think seventh place is great. He's had obviously an awful start to the season, and seventh place is great for him. And obviously you mentioned there with Penske having the terrible week last week, that's good for them. And then Chase Elliott finishing there in third, really good finish for him. And William Byron, man, we saw him run second, and I think that's another case of commentator's curse. We saw him run second, run to the top 5 for the last 60 or so laps in this race. Where does he end up? Eighth. We were just talking about how good of a run he's having, and he winds up finishing eighth. So, honestly, anything that bad happened today, just blame me and Gary.
Yeah, we talked about Kyle Busch having a decent run, a nice comeback, and then he, of course, hit the wall a bunch of times, crashed, and then we talked about his great comeback through the field after that, and then he crashed under caution. Still managed to get his first top 10 of the season, though, just because of how crazy it was. And then, of course, with Kevin Harvick, we had mentioned the luck he had had with the lap traffic, giving him nearly a 2-second lead, and then one corner later, his race came to an end. So very unfortunate for Kevin Harvick. And Kevin Harvick, Jay, that's 2 weeks in a row where he's been running towards the front of the pack and gets wiped out.
Yeah, unfortunate for Harvick. We know how good of a car he's had so far this season, winning a bunch of races already, and showing speed in every single one. And obviously, we know that SHR is very good with 3 of their 4 guys now winning. So I think we'll see Harvick continue that dominance throughout this season. I don't think he's going to go away anytime soon. Um, but he's just gotta not get involved in incidents. And obviously today, I mean, there was nothing he could do. He's trying to get around the lap car, and the lap car just pulls up to his corner and puts him in the wall. and then obviously a big wreck ensues. So same thing for Larson. We've seen Larson show speed so far, and I think this is his second, maybe third DNF now this season. So really bad luck for him and Harvick. But unlike Harvick, Larson has not got a win so far this season, and needs to get a win to get himself locked into those playoffs.
Yeah, and Harvick already has the 2 wins from the 500. The road course, he had a dual win, which gave him 10 points as well. But of course, that doesn't put you in the playoffs. But he's still locked in nonetheless. But Larson had a lot of speed in every race as well, and he just kind of gets himself collected in these incidents. So unfortunate for him as well. As you see Alex Bowman down there in P36, I look at a guy like Bowman. I was adding up the points last week. I didn't have it fully in order, but I still added it up, and he is not doing very good in the points. And Jay, he didn't really run in the top 10 in the stages today. He finally had a bit of hope. He was up towards the top 10, but of course that big crash took him out, and here he is again with a terrible finish.
Yeah, he's another guy like DeBenedetto, sorry, that has struggled so far this season. And for DeBenedetto, he gets a decent finish. For Bowman, he winds up DNF'd and finishing 36th. So just a really, really, really bad start so far this season for Bowman, and it's not something you'd expect out of him. We know how good he is and how good he should be, and he's obviously on a really good team. So they just got to figure it out and get themselves ready for wins and obviously get better finishes than they're getting right now.
Yeah, it's been a rough season when that's actually one of his best finishes of the season currently here in the NR 2003 2021 season. But that will do it for us here today at Las Vegas. I mean, overall, before we end it, Jay, I mean, it was a solid race, and then stage three kicked off, and everything just went crazy. But overall, still a pretty solid race nonetheless in terms of the actual racing product on the track.
I would say that's been a constant so far this season. We kind of get through the first stages all right. Some things happen here and there, and then we get to stage three, and it seems like all hell breaks loose. It's happened almost every time so far this season. So if that's going to keep happening, then we'll probably just expect that for the rest of the year. That every time stage three happens, we just have nothing but
Ready for
craziness happen, and
chaos.
lap cars get in the way, and wrecks and chaos, and guys go from having good finishes to bad finishes, and bad finishes to good finishes. So lot to look forward to so far in the season, in my opinion.
And looking at the next month of racing here, next week, we have Phoenix Raceway. So that's going to be an interesting one, short track. And then we head over to the mile and a half at Atlanta the week after. But then we go Bristol Dirt, Martinsville, Richmond, and then Talladega. So quite the interesting handful of races we have coming up, and we're excited to cover those ones next week at Phoenix. We will be back at you guys for another short track race, or actually the first short track race of the season. So it's going to be interesting. We'd like to thank you all for coming out and joining us here today on the broadcast. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys next week at Phoenix Raceway. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have yourselves a great day.